when did the Naughty-licious come into play?
6'9". It came into play. Well, the book or the podcast, all of it, right?
Yeah, or just the word, like, you know, like there you have this moment where,
yeah,
especially when you're starting, let's say you're starting your character, your brand, your whatever, and you know, there's that moment where it just kind of comes to you. Naughty-licious, I like this. It's the same thing with your kinky friends. I came, you know, because everyone kept on saying, judging me, your kinky friends, as opposed to, so it's taken a step back as opposed to our or my, you know what I mean? It's, you know, but when did Naughty-licious come by?
Oh,
and then we'll do the introduction.
Yeah. Naughty-licious started like, I guess I've always been attracted to things that are like flirty and a little bratty, and naughty, you know, like any sort of Christmas. I've always kind of joked of like, I'm on the naughty list. And I don't know, at some point, you know, I love like things that like sucking on things that are delicious. And I always joke that like my stripper or porn name would be something like Not Enough. And at some point, just like Naughty-licious just came into existence. And I've said it so many times that when it came time to have a podcast, so that was the top thing that I thought. I was like, you know what, Naughty-licious. It sounds about right for me.
And with that being said, let's do a proper introduction. It's been a while. It's been Thursday.
Yeah.
But before that, please welcome a sexologist, a sex therapist, a full-on kink advocate, an absolute wonderful personality.
Thank you.
Host of Naughty-licious and the author of a book called Naughty-licious, which we're going to talk about all today. This is a good episode, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to help you get kinky.
Yes.
We're doing our part to help the community. Please.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Please welcome, with utmost respect, with just in a true honor to have, please welcome the magnificent Carli de Ville. Say hi.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Happy Sunday fun day. We are going to have so much fun today. Like Nick and I were talking, this book is really just a sex plethora of naughty surprises. So the conversation can go any which way. The book is a sex conversation game starter. It's a conversation starter. So if you guys want to jump in and let us know the answers to those questions, I would love to hear from you guys. It's also Sunday Fun Day. I'm getting litty, like locked up, useless clitty. So we're going to have a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
And hi on the chat.
Oh, yes. I'm getting litty, like locked up, useless.
Liddy. You know, normally I say litty like a clitty, but I know in the BDSM world and like the world that I work in on a regular day-to-day basis, one of the funny things that I've always thought was so brilliant in the world of chastity was how, you know, people like to call it like a useless clitty. I've always thought that was so hilarious. I thought it's so playful. And obviously with a name like Naughty-licious, I like things that are playful. So when I've heard that term for the first time, I was cracking up like for hours. I would just sit in the middle of the night watching something random and laugh like, oh my God, useless clitty, you know? Hi, Nico. I love you.
She is amazing. She is magnificent. Stay tuned. Nico and I are working on some projects together that it's gonna be impressive. It's gonna be great. Just a shout out to Nico and you and Mistress Jennifer. I just went live today. Dear kinky friends, a safe, sane, and consensual summer. It is summer. Let's get kinky. So, all right, let's get you have your book. Wait, we still got some chat stuff. Naughty-licious sounds like a video game.
Ooh, maybe it can be like a next sex VR game.
So, you know, all right. So I asked this question at the top of every interview, and I always want to ask it to you because I know I'm going to get an answer. That's great. What's inspiring you these days?
What's inspiring me these days? Gangbangs.
Yeah, I'll do it.
Yeah.
Funny that you say that because shout out to check out my first the biggest. They're coordinating the biggest pansexual gangbang.
Oh,
yeah. So check it out. It's in Las Vegas. yeah, help promote it. Check out yourkinkyfriends.com.
I love Las Vegas. And you know what? That's so funny because the reason why gangbangs have been on my radar, because they've always been on my radar. But I was filming content for my YouTube channel, Carli de Ville, on YouTube. And I went to go see this show called Rouge. And it bills itself as like the sexiest show in Las Vegas. So I went to go talk to some of the performers after the show, but during the show, they asked like audience questions. And one of the questions was, what's your biggest fantasy? You know, so they give the mic over to some like random person in the audience. They're like, excuse me, what's your biggest fantasy? And he was like, all fours, sex and doggy style. Oh yeah, it was doggy style. He's like, doggy style. And I just looked at my boyfriend and I was like, what? Like, how is that a fantasy? And if they haven't had it, my God, they need to have it. But then they asked the next person and they were like, what's your biggest fantasy? And they were like, anal. And I was like, oh my God, these fantasies is like a gay person's Taco Tuesday, you know? Yeah. And my fantasy would have been gangbang. So that's why I thought, like, is no one going to say gangbang? Because that's mine.
Yeah, right? Yeah, don't like, first of all, it's speaking of books, there's a chapter in my book called Sad Guy at the Gangbang. I'll let that go. No, but it's actually funny. It's a funny chapter. But yeah, talking about doggy style. Shout out to Starla, Goddess Starla. One of her quotes, because I always take quotes. I always make quotes. I love it. And her quote is, "It's the end of the world, and all I get is doggy style." So with that being said, let's say so. Mistress Jennifer from our Safe Staying and Consensual Summer Pride and Rainbow. I love you. Yeah, Mrs. Jennifer is awesome. All right. Now let's say next week, right? I'm gonna go out, and there's this lady friend who I'm kinky. I come out as a kinky person. Yeah. And this person is just exploring and enjoy. Perfect. Open mind. Wonderful. Great. Love it. And I want to impress, and I want to do something creative and fun, whimsical as well. Your book is the perfect thing.
I agree. So I agree.
What do I start? Do I just open any part of the book, you think? Or
yeah, so exactly. So essentially working with like couples, I'm constantly having to recommend games for people to do, like things to do with people while they're on dates. And also when like the conversation for longer term relationships, right? Because the new ones, it's an obvious perfect fit. You don't know anything about each other. These are great questions that you can just start asking. But also for long term relationships, sometimes the conversations dry out. And when they're going to go on dates, it's like, well, we have nothing to talk about, or we're going to go on a walk and we have nothing to talk about. So some people avoid that alone time with their significant other. And I've always like pointed them towards conversation games for that, as well as the yes, no, maybe checklist that you see online a lot of the times for couples to get to know their interests, their limits and boundaries. And I was just looking for something along the lines of that, and also like more fun sex conversation games, which there are. But I was thinking, like, if there was just a way where you can just put it all together, where it's a fun game, where you have the conversations about the relationship, you have conversations about sex, so you can open up and you also learn new things. So I put it all together in like a game. Originally, it was going to be a card game, since that's usually what I recommend, and that's usually what I play, because that's usually all there is. But yeah. I hate losing the cards. I hate keeping track of them. If you're going to go on a road trip, it's just so, like, sometimes they are all over the place, or I've used them on boats, and sometimes like they fall on the floor and stuff like that. So I always wanted just to be in a book, so it's not as big. You know, this is almost the size of a cell phone. Like, let me see. Yeah, pretty much. And you just flip through it and you just ask whatever questions in there. And there's going to be just about, for the most part, because I think there's probably a few things missing. I know every now and then I'll think of something and be like, oh my God, I wish I would have remembered to include something like that. But for the most part, it's got almost anything and everything you can think of. And not only in kinks and fetishes, but also situations, right? Like, when you're starting off with someone, you don't know, how would they feel about going to a sex club? How would they feel about me going to a strip club? How would they feel about like threesomes and stuff like that? So instead of being the one to have to come up with the courage to be like, you know what, this is what I like, which if you've gotten that skill, bravo for you. But I know a lot of people in the beginning, you just want to impress a person. You don't want to like scare them away. So you try to sneak around it. And this is perfect because you not only get to answer the question yourself, but the other person has to answer the question. So you can learn how they feel about the things that you're interested in. They can learn how you feel about those things. And then you can find out what ways you're compatible and what ways you're not. And also what ways you can kind of like work together and compromise.
Chris Bako says, Carly, I am now following your channel here and on Instagram.
Oh, yes, please do. I have a lot of really funny content. I like to try out things on the channel because I'm fairly, in relation to the industry that I work in, I'm like fairly vanilla. So aside from just reading these things like as part of like my education, I also want to get like firsthand knowledge, you know? So a lot of those videos would be me trying things for the first time. Like I had Mercenary Mistress was been
Mercenary Mistress, I know
that. She like put me on her spanking horse and made me a sissy, and you know, so well, I'm not a stranger to that, but there are things that I was a stranger to.
Neither am I.
That I got to like experience on this channel and the previous channel that got shut down because it was just too sexy for YouTube, I guess.
All right, right. That's why we keep it just conversation. You know, you'd be surprised the stuff I have on film that I don't show.
Even the conversations though is the censorship on YouTube, and that's why I started the podcast Naughtyalicious, was because that one particular channel got shut down. So the podcasting where you can just talk freely about things was just so obvious, and I really love the being able to do podcasts because you can talk about so much and not have to worry about YouTube. I know on YouTube a lot of videos that I did with Chastity Queen, who's also a guest here all the time, which I met through here. Like her, some of the videos that I did with her on chastity would be I would constantly be having to fight like the censorship lords because they were like, this is sexual content. This is too sexual. I'm like, what are you talking about? This is literally the lack of sex, you know, like it made no sense. And there's so many crazier things that are just for like, you know, sexual purposes and entertainment value, which is fine. I'm all for that. But, you know, getting rid of the things that actually teach you how to engage in these kinks and fetishes on an educational level and do it safely, it's just beyond me how those things get removed.
It's a very, very good point. I'm doing this. I mean, I like having fun doing this, and this is a general interest of mine, but one of the main reasons I'm doing all of this is because I want to help other kinky people. It's safe. That's why I had a safe consensual summer, you know? So, all right, with that being said, one thing I do like to do is start conversations at parties, dungeons, at dungeon parties, at munches, especially with a bunch of people. So, all right, can you give me an example of a good conversation starter? Because there's a lot of people who go to munches, they're scared, they're dealing with the personal anxiety, the shyness, you know, they're oh my god, people don't know I want to wear women's panties or whatever, you know. So what's a good icebreaker?
A good icebreaker is sound like a car salesman, but you take my book to set a sex dungeon, and you're just like, hey, I got this cool book about sex and fetishes. Do you want to play? Do you want to answer a question, right? And you just flip through it. And you know what? Let's do it right now. I'll just flip through it and ask you a question.
Let's do it.
All right. So, Nick Tanek, what puts you in a let's fuck it out mood, and what puts you in a let's make love mood?
You know, it's funny. I think I have the answer to both in one answer.
Ooh, good.
And this is going to sound shallow, but a woman in a garter belt, stockings, and a corset is it like, because it can go both ways. It could be very dominating. It could be like, fuck me. And it also, you know, you can have this, maybe I watch too many movies. Maybe I'm a romantic at heart, but you can have this lavish pageantry of romance with lingerie. So yeah, lingerie does something.
It'll do both.
It'll do both. Yeah, that's just for me. The first thing I thought of. Music does a lot. But it's also the atmosphere. It's the personally, I think it's the vibe and the synergy of the moment, being in the moment. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. It's that I like the energy that you don't know where this could be just like, oh, fuck you. Or it could be like, it could be like, you know, like you have that romance in your heart, you know. It could be either way.
I love the romance that starts off in that passionate, like romance, like, oh my God, like we're just feeling this deep, essential connection, right? Because it's not always going to be love. Sometimes when you're banging it out with someone, you feel like that passion, that sensuality, and that sensuality that's kind of like more similar to lovemaking, right? And you kind of have that. And then when it just keeps growing and growing into a full on like savage animalistic fuck fest, that's my favorite. But in terms of what puts me in the mood, I would say someone surprising, like surprisingly dominant, someone who just says something like real dominant in the moment. That'll put me in a let's fuck it out mood. And in terms of let's make love mood, I'm always down for that.
I'm in the same way. I love it when, because you know I'm very much into femdom. I love it when a woman takes control of the conversation, just like, you know, because I babble. Right. so you know, and when she's like, yeah, nothing else matters. You're taking me in the bathroom right now, and you know, or you're taking me to the bedroom right now, or we're leaving and we're going to the bedroom now. Right. Fuck the world. I need your cock, or you know, stuff like that, or fuck the world. You're gonna lick my pussy. You know, it's. I don't know, but okay, all right.
Yeah, and I want to hear from you guys in the comments. Let us know what puts you in a let's make love mood and what puts you in a let's fuck it out mood. But here, why don't you tell me where to stop, and I'll stop for a specialized question.
Now,
all right. Which do you prefer, having sex with one person or with multiple partners, and how many?
Done them both. Did both. Because of my health, I kind of right now at this moment, things can change. We're growing and evolving.
Yes.
I like playing with other people. I like playing with a lot of people, with multiple people, like in a safe, sane, consensual area, dungeon, stuff like that. Mischief Manor is a perfect example. Shout out to Mr. Shari and Catnip Boy in Mischief Manor. But when it comes to making love, especially even if it's dirty and dominant and rough and stuff like that, if it's just one-on-one, there's that connection, and it's also the focus of focusing on that person. I've been such a selfish lover for so long in my childhood, like not my child, my teenage years, my 20s and stuff like that. And the older I get, the more I get more joy from giving pleasure to someone else. And that's why I embrace this. I'm a switch, and that's what kind of keeps it exciting for me, and I guess anybody else. But I try to be a more generous or more giving lover these days. The older I get, so there is that. What am I babbling about now? What's next?
About generous lovers.
All right. So
okay. So this one. Oh my God, I just lost it. But you know what? Like they're all so good. I want to ask you.
Ask away.
So, so the other one I remember it. So I'll just say but this one is gonna come up next. So as we know, like penis pumps are a thing. A lot of people know about them for like pump up erections, erectile dysfunction, just for fun and pleasure. But some people don't know that there's also nipples for the nipples, the vulva, the butthole. Like, what do you think about like pumping things up? Like, do you enjoy little pumps during pleasure?
That's a fun question. That's a really fun question, actually. If you think about it,
I think so too. Yeah.
There's like a whimsical nature to it. Oh, what do you think of it? It's all how you ask it. You can't be all serious.
Right. What do you think about nipples?
I really want to know what you think about on your asshole.
Right.
I didn't know they make that.
They do. Well, I mean, also like you can, and like with sex toys, right? You don't have to use the sex toy for whatever intended purpose. Like you can branch out, right? So if you have like a nipple one and you want to pop that on your butthole and get it all nice and juicy, then and if your butthole fits, then try it. If the pump fits, pump it.
That's another quote. Yeah. Okay, we got Stan Vladimir saying, "What puts me in the mood is definitely the personality and the outfit."
The outfit. Yeah, like outfits really make things get things so hot, right? Like I love fishnets are sexy, neon fishnets, like a pink neon fishnet is always going to be hot. It's the one always going to be something that is going to pique my interest, you know, especially like when watching porn or something. If I see a little pink fishnet number, I'm like, ooh, what's going on over there? Let me hop on over and see what's going on.
Definitely. Oh yeah, definitely. So what about, there are different levels of kink. You know,
Yeah.
there are people who are experienced, people who are incredibly green, naive, people in genuine, like, who really want to experience, have a genuine heart for that. Then there are people who are experienced and a little more, what's the word I'm looking for? I don't want to say weathered, that it gives a negative connotation to it, but like experienced, like they know what they want and they know they've seen it before and stuff like that. So what part of this book would you suggest to kind of show them, the people who
that's the thing too, because it's not necessarily something, I mean, if there are some particular questions, like if you go through the book and you find some questions that you know you want to ask and you want to learn more about, then for sure mark them. Maybe you can kind of like fold the page a little bit, you know, so you are able to kind of get to it. But it's just so like all over the place that honestly, like you just have to keep, the more that you do it, the easier it'll like get, the more you'll find out things of how kinky that person is, you know. So it's a hard thing because it's not like, oh, I mean, you can do like, look, page 117, cream pies. Like, what do you think of, what are your thoughts on cream pies? So you can do that, but it's more organic when it's just like you're just sitting down. People feel less threatened than if someone, you know how like when you're watching something and someone is like, oh, watch this. You almost feel like you can't really fully watch it because you already know that there's like an expected reaction that you're supposed to have. So it kind of like loses its moment. That's how I feel about something like that. Like if you go to someone like, oh, hey, what do you think about this? And it sounds like you already have an answer that they want to give, you won't get the full response. But if it's just like casual and you're like, a cream pie is a sexual act that involves ejaculation inside the vagina or anus during intercourse or other forms of sexual activity. The term cream pie refers to the visual result of the act where semen is visibly present and sometimes drips out of the orifice. What are your thoughts on this juicy delight? You know, you say it like that, it already like they're intrigued, they're thinking about it, and then you'll get like a more raw answer, as raw as it could be when we're talking about cream pies. And that is very raw. By the way, I'm for cream pies.
Speaking of cream pies, I interview a lot of directors, horror movie directors, like who use real sex in the horror movie. So they're like XXX horror.
Oh yeah.
And that's their favorite thing. Like when I always ask, I usually ask, like, what's your fetish? What's your specialty? What's your thing? They're cream pies. I don't know why. Directors, porn directors.
I can see why. I love a good cream pie. Like I would say I would prefer a cream pie watching, at least visual, right? Because that's the thing too. We all have so many different facets of what we're into and our interests. Some of them stay more into like the fantasy and some more are actual reality things that you want to try out. So like with a cream pie, I know visually I love, like if I'm watching a porn and someone finishes on their back or whatever, like, yeah, that's hot. But if they finish and then they like put that hole in right on the camera and you just see like that cum drip out, I'm like, and then they eat it off. I love it. But when it comes to in person, like, you know, I don't know. I would want to say that I'm all for it, but you know, you're a little self-conscious. Like if you're pushing out a little jizz out your hole, you're like, I'm worried. Is anything else going to come out? Depending on the hole, right?
Nico Noir and all her wisdom. She nailed it perfectly in this comment. Nico Noir says that has to be the most elegant way I've ever heard a cream pie explained.
Thank you, Nico. Are you into cream pies, Nico? A person in the chat. People in the chat, what are your thoughts on cream pies?
Yes, get back to us, chat. Joe, as someone who was introduced to kink scene by my girlfriend, now in a sub-dom dynamic, I'll definitely be looking at your book. So that's the interesting thing about your book. You could use it as a tool. So even people who our experience. Like they
Yeah.
can literally use it as a tool to reconnect with people.
Yeah, it goes from really vanilla to super kinky, and then there's also questions that are gonna be like more for couples, you know, like it'll be more about like how has our intimacy grown over the years, or what is a lesson about patience during intimacy that you have learned while we've been together. So you can just like adapt right with the audience. If you flip through a question that is just not going to be appropriate, you can just go through another one. But it was designed to get to know people, to get to know yourself, to get to know sex, and also to have fun. So it's like a perfect thing that you can do at like a party, right? Bachelorette parties, just with friends. And find out. I've learned with this because, you know, testing it out. So I had like a couple of trial runs, right, with people just to find out like how hardcore are these questions to more vanilla people, right? So there was a lot of trial and error with that, of just being like, how are people going to react to these questions when we're just playing like it really would be happening? And the feedback was always great. Everyone always had fun. You always learn something about the person next to you that you never would have known, you never would have thought about asking. They probably would have never been comfortable just being forthcoming about had it not been phrased in like a silly, fun little way.
Nico Noir says, I'm not going to fuck up my pantyhose with cream pies.
I love it.
But I'm bringing it next time I'm going to the Manor.
Yes.
I'm going to have a copy of Naughtyalicious. And trust me, I'll make it an art project of the responses and what happened.
Yeah, send me videos. I would love. I've been posting a lot of like people have been taking it out like to the clubs, to the bars, out with friends, and they'll send me clips of you know, people's responses, and I love that. So send all you guys out there, if you get the book or you have a question, like, and you want to send me a clip, I would love to share it and learn more about it. The one guy had a great answer when I think the question was like, what is your biggest turn on? Which oddly enough was one of those questions that when I saw that she sent me a video and that was a question, I kind of cringed a little bit, because when I put that in, I was like, is this too much of a basic bitch question? You know, like, what's your biggest turn on? I left it in there just because I thought it was kind of like a staple, you know, where, you know, but that.
And you know what? When people are at a munch or something like that,
yeah,
that's the first thing they want to know.
Exactly, right.
You go to FetLife, you see their the first thing I go to is their fetishes. What are they into? What do they identify themselves as? You know what I mean? Because it makes their, you know, exploration into this world easier, just as for me, you know.
Right.
I'm a switch. I'm honest about being a switch. You know, I'm honest about
being a switch as far as I'm concerned. You get the best of all worlds.
It's fun. It's if you go into the right state of mind, it is you find balance. At least this is my experience.
Right.
I find balance in it, which is great. All right. Book. You published a book. I published 3. You published a book. It's a great feeling, isn't it?
Yeah.
What was it? So what was it like when you got the idea to actually, because you had a podcast you were doing, was this, it takes a while. You don't just like publish a book, you know?
No.
It takes effort, organization, a lot of love.
Right. It was a process. I was already in the process of writing another book. I pretty much had like a whole book like just about finished. At that moment though, that book, I was in a long-term relationship, so I had a lot of associations when like that breakup happened, that anytime I went back to put like the finishing touches, because really that's all it is, I just could not, like, I kept finding myself like procrastinating, and it was just like not putting me in a good headspace. So I just kind of left it there. And when I got this idea for this particular book, which is more of a game, right? I knew that I wanted to create like at least 200 questions, and I knew that some of them were going to be about like sex education, some were going to be about building intimacy, and some are designed just to have fun and be playful, right? So the more intense questions, don't seem as intense when you're busy laughing at some of the other questions, like if you could invent a celebrity sex robot, who would it be, right? Like the laughter and whatever that comes with that makes it easier to, when you get to the question on urethral sounding, right? Like shoving a sound down a urethra, like by that point you're having a little bit more fun, so it's easier. And when I was thinking of questions, the education portion, I kept going back to that previous book. So I took a lot from that. So that helped in terms of time frame, because if I didn't have already that like all that work is done, it probably would have taken me longer. But even then, I had like 400 questions. So I thought like, oh, this is going to be easy. I'll get this out by next week. And like the whole process just kept taking more and more and more. And I kept thinking of new stuff. We kept taking some other stuff out. So it was a couple of months of like, I had it completely done. And then 2 to 3 more months of just changing, taking things out. I sent some people some like, some copies, like I was telling you, just to see how, to gauge the level of like intensity of people's perceptions. And when everyone was like, no, it's fine, it's fun, then I went back and added more like questions that were a little bit more hardcore and kind of pushed the boundary a little bit more. So yeah, and I just kept going back and forth, playing it with friends, seeing how it worked out in the real world, and the conversations that were had were just so much fun. So I was like, okay, this is good. I'm on the right track.
Before I want to ask, I have more questions to ask, but where can we get the book for people around the world? What's the best place to get it? Where
the best place would be Amazon. You can get it in 2 days, you know? But other than that, like the usual, depending on like Barnes & Noble website, or I mean, whatever, I would prefer you buy it from me directly at carlideville.com. But I know Amazon is the one where everyone has Amazon. Everyone loves a little 2-day shipping, you know? And plus you can leave me a review and let me know what you think. Even if you hate it, if you write a review and be like, this is the most disgusting book I've ever read, that would be like an honor for me. That would be a great review for me.
Seriously, the I have a book. I wrote a book, and one of the best reviews I ever got. Great book. Surprised the author's not dead. 5 stars. It's kind of odd. I'm kind of honored to know that. It's no. So everybody out there, if you're an author, support your fellow authors, and if you are a reader, and if you buy something, if you buy a book, write a review. We read them, and as we read them, we appreciate them, we learn from them, and we take them very seriously, even the ones that are done for dumb purposes, you know. I wrote a book called The Coolest Way to Kill Yourself. It's a metaphor, and so I wrote a review. No one kills himself in the book, and it says on it, no one kills himself in this book. Right. You know, and they're like,
it's almost like you need to write in big letters as soon as you open it. Spoiler alert: no one commits suicide.
Right in the back says, okay, so no one killed himself in the book.
You know what's kind of funny is that usually you'll need to put a disclaimer that someone will be killing themselves, along with like a hotline and stuff like that. But now people are like, you need a disclaimer to be like, no, that's not gonna happen.
Nico Noir commented that I wrote 3 books. Yes, I did. So okay, you got the book. You're promoting it, and we can work it. You and I both are very staunch supporters of LGBTQIA plus awareness, activism, you know, rights, and everything like that. How much did that kind of play into this book? Because the book is for everybody. It's not, you know. So, but how much would you say has influenced in the book itself?
You know, in this particular book, I would say none. Because the thing is that I work with people of so many different like ways of thinking that I don't want anyone to feel alienated from it. You know, not only like potential readers, but most importantly, the clients, the people that I work with, the ones that I want them to know that I support them regardless of what they think. So I try to stay away from anything that's going to be too like political, because at the end of the day, you know, I feel that everyone should be talking together, right? So I wanted it to be something where everyone can have fun with, without being like, oh, this is to this or this is to that or whatever, you know, like that's not what I'm into. I just want to make sure that you guys have some great sex, you know.
Yeah, I want to talk about that too. You and I, we kind of share the same spirit, this vibe that we want to celebrate the beauty of sex and the beauty of sexual expression. Of course, we want to do it smart. We want to do it in a smart way, in a decent way. So
disrespect me in a decent way.
Yeah. Perfect. Yeah, that's so good. That is so good. So, in other words, how can this book be one of these kind of in a very, very vanilla setting? How, because I think it's definitely a conversation starter.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So what would be your approach to kind of introduce a book like this into a vanilla setting?
Just pull it out and start asking, you know? Just to pull it out and be like, hey, does anyone want to play a fun little conversation game? Yeah, I mean, you can literally, you know, I was out with my boyfriend the other day, and it just, his baby mama, ex-wife, was there with her new boyfriend, and it was actually on the day that it was released, 6/9, you know. So this last Friday we were there celebrating, and they happened to be there, and I had a copy, so we were playing that book, and they are, as from what I could tell, you know, from what you kind of expect, as vanilla as it gets, you know, in terms of like the type of work that I do and the people that I'm usually communicating with. So yeah, they were pretty vanilla. They were shocked, of course, but again, since it's in an educational way and the questions are worded in like a fun, flirty type of way, where you're almost like, oh, I didn't know that. Oh my God, I can't believe like people are into that. So it becomes more of like, they learn that there's, like, vanilla people will learn that there's all these other interests that people have that don't revolve around like basically just like, this is an abuser, right? Like, I think when people think of like BDSM, everyone has like their own particular way of what they think it is. And for people that have nothing to do with any sort of kinky fetishes, BDSM type of sex, they, a lot of the times they think, oh, there must be something wrong with you, or there must be like, you're just being violent, or you just want to be hurt. It's very like black or white. And, you know, it was fun to see them learn. You get a little bit of why the person might be into the fetish. It went in the description of some of them. Some of them are very detailed as to like in the sissification one, I made that's one of the more detailed ones, where it talks about like why some people might be into sissification, what it is, why some people might be into it. And then at the end, it says like, what do you think about that? Or what are some things that might be, that might help you be open to trying it? Right? Because that's the main thing. I wanted the conversations not to be closed-ended to where someone could be like, I would never try that. So for instance, there's a question about anal sex. For my cis hetero relationship people, you know, that where they feel weird talking about anal sex, but they really want anal sex, because why wouldn't they? It's anal sex. You know? Like, one of the questions might be something like, something about anal sex, and would you ever try it? And if not, what are some things that might make you consider trying it? Right? So then you not only learn like this person is open to it or not, but then you also learn what might help them do that, right? Where they're like, well, you know, if maybe we got some lube and like we're patient, or maybe I took a shower before, whatever, right? Like, you'll learn what would make them do the same. And I have the same kind of question for pegging. So for those, again, cis hetero guys who don't know how to tell their wife or girlfriend, hey, I want something up my butt. The question is like, talks about pegging, why someone might be into it. And then it asks like, what would make you consider like engaging in pegging?
All right, this is my official review for Naughtyalicious. Naughtyalicious by Carli de Ville. I bought this book, and now my life is filled with anal sex and pegging.
Yeah, and cream pies.
And cream pie.
Wow,
and
that's the best review ever.
Yay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's not a bad review, right?
Yeah, no, that's I would like, if I could make to where no other review could be put in there.
I'm doing it.
That would be the only one. That would be the
check
only one.
Goodreads and Amazon. Minute 39 or whatever.
I love it. I've never been more gangbanged than since getting this book.
It's a wild feeling, right? It's a wild feeling putting out a book, and once you put it out, it's out there.
Right.
It's like not yours anymore. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? And the effect, the positive effect makes it all worth it. You know, the connection that you, and that's what's really beautiful about your book, is because you wrote a book about connecting with people.
Yeah.
And how to connect, and people can use it as a tool to connect with people, and in turn, in the way, as an author, you connect with your readers that way through reviews. So please write a good, buy Naughtyalicious, write a good review.
Yeah, and if you can't leave a review, I understand that sometimes, like with with this type of content, you know, sometimes you're not comfortable just putting it out there. But you can always just let me know and send me your feedback. I would love to just hear it personally. I went to New Orleans to kind of promote it, ask some people on the streets like questions from the book, and gave a lot of books away to the people that would answer. And I'm still getting messages from them telling me like what their experience was like. So I mean, I love feedback. I love conversations. Obviously, my work is like communicating and conversing with people all day.
And that's wonderful. So I applaud you, definitely.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, we're gonna. Why did
I'm like, yes, applaud me.
Cis men are all for pegging.
Yes,
and that's why cis men reach out to the sexual dominatrixes like me.
Yes. Peg the patriarchy.
Yeah. Oh, Jessica Cheery says, "Oh, that's an interesting way to frame this. At least it might make people understand their own boundaries better."
Oh, for sure. Yeah. Oh, and you know what, too? Like, another thing that I forgot to mention for people, like, there's also questions about safe words. Like, there's a question in there that tells you what a safe word is, and it encourages you to come up with a safe word then and there. So, what I love about that, too, is that you already have that down, you know, which is one of the most important things, I think, when entering a relationship and you're looking to kind of get a little kinkier, is some of those things in the beginning just need to be talked about, because it could be so easy to get lost into the passion that all of a sudden is in the very early stages, right? Like you're just so lost and you just are lost in the passion that you just start doing it, that next thing you know, like you're like, oh, we didn't even communicate like what to do if I'm gagged and I can't say anything and I want you to stop. Like we didn't come up with a safety signal because we only thought about safety words, right? So this encourages you to think about safety signals, safety words, and stuff like that.
And you know what? Discussing safe words is a fun way to talk, to start conversation.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, what's your safe word? You know, I know we were talking about that in that last video for the safe consensual sane summer, which everyone needs to check out. So many great tips there, and yeah, we talked about that there.
Yeah, I just put it up. Check out yourkinkyfriends.com. It's up there, and the previous interview we did is up there as well. Let's go through the comments. Stan Vladimir says, which part was the most enjoyable making the book, and which part was the most difficult?
The most enjoyable is this, like actually playing the game because we're literally playing the book. We're playing the game as we're having this conversation. So that is my favorite part, just getting together, learning what everyone thinks about it. That's always fascinating. Like you just think of like different perspectives that you never thought of, right? And as someone who talks to so many people all the time, I have a tendency to think I've heard it all at this point. And I still have not, you know? So that's been my favorite part. The most difficult was definitely editing, because you are looking at something over and over and over again. And like, even you have different eyes on it. It's frustrating when you've had so many eyes on something and no one caught, including yourself. And you can't blame them because obviously everyone is missing it for a reason. No one caught like that. Do is 2, you know? And so little things like that, where you're like, you have to go back and just kind of like make all these changes for all these dumb little things. That's the most difficult part.
Even with editing, even dumb mistakes that you shouldn't make, you still find that you made them in the text, and you're like, I'm better than this.
Right. Also, like little placeholders that you would go in there. So I'm very like, I like inserting comedy. Like my icon is Elvira, so I love to put in like some cute little innuendos or something like that. So I would put in like little placeholders of something that I would think like, just to remind me, that had not necessarily always something to do with the question, but it kind of works out. and it just goes through everyone's head because everyone just thinks that's what it was supposed to be. And then when I will go back like the third time, and I'm like, wait, no. Oh, that's right. That was just for me to remember something that at that point, I don't even remember what that was supposed to tell me anymore. So you have to come up with a different way to word that.
Yeah, the wording is especially because these questions are going to be asked by other people to other people, you know, and, so you have to word them in that way to get it, to get a reaction, not a
and
specific
I'm a control freak. I'm like the next thing on my agenda for this book is recording it as an audio, doing an audiobook, because the way that when I read it, I specifically phrase things in a way that I've heard other people ask, and I'm like, oh, I wish I could have asked. I wish I could have played on the words the way that they were supposed to be played with. So I'm definitely going to be doing that.
And then you could always update it and have new additions.
Right,
and have like an actual game.
I have so down the pipeline. The next ones are the Naughtyalicious party game, which takes away all of the couple related questions and kind of builds more of like those fun where like you don't have to worry about your boyfriend or anything like that. And also like a bachelorette style game for like bachelorette parties with like little dares. And another couples, it's the Naughtyalicious like game of dares for couples, or I still don't know what it's going to be called, but it's something like that, where it's just a whole bunch of like little like sexy truth or dare style type of games that people can do together to whenever they're feeling bored and they just want like a different way of connecting in a sensual, sexual way.
Now, let me ask you a personal question, because you are a therapist, right?
Yeah. Hard to believe, but yeah.
No, you're amazing.
Thank you.
So couples, I'm talking about writing and playing for the game, for the Naughtyalicious game. Personally, what do you like better, writing questions for couples to answer or for singles to answer?
Singles for sure. Yeah. You don't, because there is no worry about like hurting feelings or hurting egos in the way that like the question of pegging. I wouldn't phrase it so delicately of like, oh, pegging is this way. What would help you like maybe make you get into pegging or like explore with pegging? It would just be kind of like, would you want to peg or not? Because at that point, it's just friends. They're more willing to give you a straight up answer. But with couples, sometimes you have to be a little bit more touchy. So I have like a couple of questions designed for people for like, let's say if you're an OnlyFans model and like you want to know if this person that you're dating would be okay with that. I have a couple of questions about like, would you be okay if your partner did an OnlyFans? Would you be okay to be on an OnlyFans video with your partner and stuff like that? Like, would you be okay going to the strip club with your partner? Would you be okay with your partner going to the strip club by themselves and stuff like that? So it's a lot going on.
Yeah, there's something going on in the chat. So George McFly says Carli is snacks.
Oh, thank you.
Nico Noir says, agreed, McFly.
Nico, I love you. I'm so obsessed with you.
If Nico agrees, you're right. Then George McFly asks, is Carli single?
I'm not single. I'm in a relationship. Thankfully.
And Mr. Jennifer says Carli.
Likewise.
And George McFly knows just what to say. I would love to see Carli in lingerie, high heels, and pantyhose.
Thank you. I'll be looking at that myself in the mirror later.
All right. So, okay. So, what about when there are lulls in the conversation, right? There's lulls in the conversation. You could just open your book.
Right.
Everything, right? Is there one kind of page or one kind of thing that you always go to for a lull in the conversation?
Lately it's been so it just depends on the questions, like the reactions that I've been seeing people like respond to. There are some that for some reason just get everyone talking. I think the one that everyone's been really into is the question of like, do you enjoy eye contact during oral? That is a question that I didn't think would be as popular as it is when you're playing around with people. I think thought it would be a very clear cut yes or no, but there's like a really strong emotion side to eye contact during oral. So that's been like an interesting question. The other one would be that other example that I gave you of like which celebrity, if you can like have a sex robot of any celebrity, who would it be? That seems to be like a fairly neutral one that a lot of people enjoy. And for couples, the one right underneath that is if you can invite a celebrity to have a threesome with, you know, who would it be? Which is interesting because people get to find out too, you know, what kind of person, if their partner were to have a threesome, what kind of person would be the one to involve, you know, in this threesome, and what gender might they be, right? Because like, and there's also questions about that. There's questions about everything. You know, you will find out. You just got to keep playing. But in terms of just regular day-to-day life, whenever there's a lull in conversation, I would say just lean into that. We've been so conditioned into thinking that awkward silence is a bad thing, and sometimes silence is a time for things to like really sink in, settle into your thoughts, reflect, and then think about what you want to say next. You don't always just want to have conversations where you're not okay with silence, so you're just saying whatever it is just to keep the conversation going. You're not having a quality conversation with that. Like in therapy, there's going to be some times where there's silence, and that's okay, because eventually that silence is usually after someone says something, and you have to let it time to sink in, and then you have to let that other person time to not only think about that, but then to think about what they want to respond in a way that's going to be meaningful and not just responding for the sake of responding.
It's funny that you say that. I totally agree 100% with you, and that's why like this show, there's no editing. It's all lo-fi. I don't.
I wish I could do that. I'm such a control freak that I'm like, I edit
no,
everything.
I did because I let it, it's real, and that's what I do. I have to let it go. It's good. This is the moment captured. That's it. Boom.
Yeah.
You know. But let me ask you this: as a sexologist,
but that's probably why you're more of a really good submissive. Because all my doms and dominatrixes out there know that you would probably be editing all sorts of things in these videos. Like I
do. So, as a sexologist, right? Mm-hmm. You don't name names, obviously. Do you get edgelords, people who are like want to impress you with their sexual knowledge, or are they all innocent and they need guidance? Do you ever get someone who's like, oh well, I've been, you know, I had 3 cream pies, 2 blowjobs, and you know, I pegged 5 people on the way here.
No, I don't think I've ever come across something like kind of like a one-uppers. It's kind of like the vibe. Yeah. No, I've never gotten anything like that. More people are just very like genuinely curious, and they find out that you're a sexologist. They want to know like what it actually means. Are you having sex with people? They want to know about they want to know more about your experiences, as opposed to their experiences. But I guess if it was a person doing all those things that you were doing, they probably don't give a fuck what I think. You know, they're like they're too busy getting cream pied on the side of the road, and I can't blame them. I'm jealous. Live your best life. Live my best life.
Before we end, because I know you got to go. There are a lot of people
time just flew by.
Right, there are a lot of people going out there going through some kind of trauma, you know, and they're using the kink community to heal.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So how can your book be used to do
that? You know, I would use the book. This is a really loaded question as a sexologist and therapist, but I would use the book in ways of like, it asks questions that help you learn a little bit more about yourself, but which might be a jumping off point for just some realizations that you have on your own, or also when you're hearing other people talk about why they're into certain things, you might hear something that just like resonates with you, right? Where you just kind of make that connection. A lot of the times, like you were mentioning, there are people who use sexuality and kinks and BDSM to cope with trauma. So I think it's important whenever you are doing that to reflect on why it is that you're doing what you're doing, and if it's something that you're doing for fun, or if it's something that you're doing because you're trying to heal some sort of trauma. If it's for fun, obviously, you're just having it for fun. The end of the work goes there. You get to just have fun. But if you're doing it, if there might be a possibility that you're doing it to heal trauma, kind of reflecting on like, well, how is this going to heal this trauma, right?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we think if I do this, it'll fix me, right? But if it's not exactly what it is that we need, then we might be just hitting pause on our healing or just set it back. So understanding if what you're doing, it will actually work for the intended purposes, and if it will, then go ham, go wild, do you. But if it's not, like, sometimes people feel like, especially with BDSM, right, with the submissive that is maybe like more into like a more hardcore type of like CNC type level things, right? Like a consensual non-consent fantasy where maybe something similar like that happened to them before. So if they engage in these, but where they're kind of in control, right? Because as everyone knows, the bottom is usually the one in the most control in the relationship. And these situations, they're the one that are kind of like calling the shots. They have the safe word, they have this. So if they engage in this, they're almost like rewriting what happened to them, and they're taking control. So that helps them overcome what it is, right? And that's with that intention, whether in the back of their head or not. But sometimes we'll do things to keep like reliving the trauma and keeping that wound open, and just keep re-traumatizing themselves. At that point, you have to kind of think like, am I just like, why can't I find closure in what happened to me? And I would encourage you to find closure, because if you can find closure of whatever happened to you that you're trying to get the trauma out of through like BDSM, once you've decided what it is and you work through that, then you can really enjoy all of those BDSM kinks that you enjoy so much to the full extent. Like, you'll enjoy it like you never thought you would have that experience before, because it's no longer attached to things. So you can actually just have fun.
Nico Noir says Carli de Ville is wise. Sage.
Oh, thank you. I need to go to Dallas, and we need to do a video with Nick together in the same room. I think that'd be so much fun.
That would be funny. It'd be great. That'd be wonderful. Then she says, "Spit on me if you love me." Stan Vladimir, we're almost done. Stan Vladimir says, if you have any super fat power, what would it be, and how would you use it in your kinky life?
Ooh. If I had one superpower,
yeah,
you know what? That's a good. I love that question. That's similar to what I have one in my book.
Over. It's called the Stan question.
Yeah. I have a similar question of like, in the book of that, but the way that you phrase that, and that's why it's important. That's why I'm telling you guys, like, phrasing and delivery is so important in getting a different response, because I have a response already. I had a response for that question, but the way, Stan, that you phrase it just made me think of something that I never really thought about. So now I have changed my answer, and my new answer will be to stop someone from ejaculating with my eyes, because I love long, drawn out, like, moments of pleasure. And if someone's about to come too quick, whether that's myself or my partner, like, I wish I could just like either look at them or look at myself in the mirror and just not come. So you can keep extending that pleasure for as long as you'd like, and keep building up that like momentum to have that explosive release. What about you guys? I would love to know what you guys your superpower would be.
Just the top of my head. I mean, I have to think about it, but the instinct would be just to make anybody I want have an orgasm on demand, just by like a snap of a finger.
I know it's like the opposite.
Like,
I love it.
Yeah, they can't, because they're orgasming. But they're gonna try to shoot me. Well, maybe. Right. But, you know what I mean? So yeah, I guess that. Thank you very much, Stan, for the Stan question.
Yes, Stan, you cutie. I like your picture.
Okay. All right. Like I said, we're wrapping up. Rapid fire recommendations. Recommend a song.
A song. Ooh, well, the last song I thought was heard was Thought Shit. I was just kind of like jamming onto it while I was getting ready for this show. So I would recommend that by Megan Thee
Okay.
Stallion. Yeah, for sure. If you
Okay.
want to just
Recommend.
kind of get your litty clitty on.
Yeah. Recommend a movie.
Oh, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, my favorite. If you have not seen that movie, then go watch that right now.
She's amazing.
She really is,
a
yeah.
wonderful person. She really
Iconic.
Yeah, like just even the stuff she does for rights, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
And also, all right, recommend a meal.
A meal. Ooh, God, I'm just like thinking so many things right now. But I guess I would say chicken mole. I love chicken mole. I've been craving it lately. It's I'm of Mexican descent and we make great chicken mole. So yeah.
And finally, tassels. Nico. All right, recommend a book.
Say no more. A Naughtyalicious, a sex conversation game for daring adults only. If you guys are not daring, then just click away. Don't even bother buying it. But if you're daring, then buy this book on Amazon, on my website, carlideville.com, and let me know what you think. I would love to read out like some of your guys' answers to some of these questions on the Naughtyalicious Sex podcast or on my Carli de Ville YouTube channel.
Wonderful. Yes. Please support Carli de Ville. Carli de Ville is one of us. Seriously, we have to take care of each other, and that means supporting each other's art, supporting each other's work, supporting each other's podcasts, supporting each other's books, everything. And Carli, I am honored to have you.
You know I love you to pieces.
Thank you very, very much. Any words of wisdom from you?
Oh my God. You know what?
It could be
That's
something
so funny.
I
was thinking about that last one that I told you. I was laughing about that earlier today.
You can use that one again if you want.
Nico's reaction to that. I was like, I totally have to post that one. But you know what? I will use that again. If relationships are like farts, if you have to push, they're probably shit.
And with that being said, please, everybody support Carli de Ville. How can people get in touch with you? Links?
Everywhere, carlideville.com, Twitter at Carli de Ville, Instagram at Carli de Ville, TikTok, Carli de Ville. I actually put a lot of different content on, little extra content on TikTok in particular. So Carli de Ville, but YouTube, Carli de Ville. And then the only difference from that would be the Naughtyalicious Sex podcast, which is at wherever you listen to a podcast. And if you guys ever want to be a guest, just let me know. I love like hearing people's stories. I love talking to people. If there's any recommendations that you guys have of shows or kinks that you want to know more about, just send them my way. I promise I won't bite unless you ask.
That'd be wonderful. Everybody, please buy books, support kinky authors like Carli de Ville. Melissa Todd, Andy Mascola is another one. He's not a well, yeah, he's gonna be on the show. The Peeper and the Playwright coming soon. Yes, please support writers, support kinky people. We got each other. We have each other. We have each other sometimes.
Yeah.
Yes. Twitter, Nicholas Tanek on Twitter. Friends Kinky on Twitter, Instagram. Just type in your kinky friends or Nicholas Tanek. You can find me. And remember the cardinal rule, everybody: be cool, be kind, keep an open mind.